Next matchup, Lions taking on the Broncos, 4:05 Denver. The Broncos are the 6.5-point favorite, total at 38. We saw a half a point fade of Denver and movement upward on the total. The Broncos open 7, down to 6.5, total open 37.5, up to 38. 58% are leaning Broncos, 69% shaded toward the over. Right now the Lions are plus 255 on the money line. They've also lost their last 7 straight games, 1-8 against the spread in their last 9. Detroit ranks at the bottom 5 in points allowed, bottom 3 in pass yards allowed. They failed to cover against the likes of the Bucs, Washington, and the Giants. They're also bottom 10 in road scoring, bottom 10 in rush yards allowed on the road. Now Denver on the other side, pretty good against the number. They're not as bad as you would think. And as a matter of fact, they're 5-2 against the spread in their last 7. They're also 70% against the spread in their last 10, and they have successful covers over the likes of Houston, Minnesota, and Tennessee. Now, this Broncos squad ranks in the top 10 in points allowed, top 10 in pass yards allowed. They are 4-2 against the spread at home, top 10 in points allowed at home. Now, 4 out of Denver's last 6 did get over the number. Detroit 6-3 to the over in their last 9 themselves. I'm going to lean Broncos minus 6.5 in the over 38 in that game. Next matchup, it is going to be Arizona taking on the Seahawks, 4:25 Seattle. The Seahawks are the 9.5-point favorite, total at 50 and a hook. We saw a half a point move towards Seattle and movement upward on the total. The Seahawks open -9 up to 9.5, total open 49 up to 50 and a hook. 53% are leaning Seattle, 69% shaded toward the over. Right now the Cardinals are plus 375 on the money line. The Cardinals have also successfully covered the point spread in 70% of their games in their last 10. They're also 5-1 against the spread on the road. They have successful covers over the likes of Cleveland and San Francisco twice. Now Seattle on the other side, they failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6 at home. They rank in the bottom 3 in pass yards allowed. They failed to cover against the likes of Carolina, Atlanta, and the Rams twice. Seattle's ranking in the bottom 3 in points allowed at home, bottom 3 in yards allowed per play at home. When it comes to the total, the Seahawks are 4-2 to the over in their last 6. They're also 67% to the over at home. Now 4 out of Arizona's last 6 got over the number as well. I'm going to purchase the half a point, buy it up, and lean Arizona plus 10 and the over 50 and a hook in that game. Next matchup, Cowboys, Philadelphia. Battle for the NFC East Championship, 4:25 Eastern kickoff at the Link. The Cowboys are the 2.5-point favorite on the road, total 46 and a hook. We saw a 1-point move toward Dallas and movement downward on the total. The Cowboys open 1.5 up to -2.5, total open 47 down to 46 and a hook. 68% are leaning Cowboys, 55% shaded toward the under. Right now the Eagles are plus 120 on the money line. They've also won their last 2 straight games, 4-3 straight up in their last 7. The Eagles rank in the top 3 in offensive time of possession, top 3 in rushing yards allowed. They defeated Chicago, Buffalo, and Green Bay this year. They're 4-3 straight up at home, top 10 in points allowed at home, top 5 in yards allowed per play at home. Now Dallas on the other side, they failed to cover in 4 out of their last 6. They rank in the bottom 10 in road time of possession. They lost to Chicago and the Jets this year. And when it comes to this total, Dallas is 2-2 to the under in their last 4. Meanwhile, 5 out of Philly's last 8 stayed under the number themselves. They're also 5-2 to the under at Lincoln Financial Field. I'm going to purchase the half a point, buy it up, and take the Eagles plus 3 and the under 46.5 in that game. Next matchup, it is going to be Chiefs taking on the Chicago Bears. And that is the Sunday night primetime game, 8:20 Eastern kickoff in that matchup in the Windy City. KC is the 5-point favorite, total at 45. We saw a 1-point move toward Kansas City and movement upward on the total. The Chiefs open 4 up to -5, total open 44.5 up to 45. 76% are leaning Chiefs, 51% shaded toward the over. Right now the Bears are plus $1.95 on the money line. Chicago's just 3-4 against the spread at Soldier Field this year. They rank in the bottom 10 in scoring, bottom 3 in offensive rushing. They failed to cover the point spread in 8 out of their last 10. And they failed against the likes of Detroit. They failed to cover the spread against the likes of Detroit, New York Giants, and the LA Chargers. Now, this Bears team ranks in the bottom 3 in offensive yards per play, bottom 5 in home scoring. they rank dead last in offensive yards per play at home as well. Now the Chiefs on the other side, winners in 6 out of their last 8. They're also 6-1 straight up when traveling this year, 5-2 against the spread in those 7. They rank the top 5 in scoring, top 3 in passing. They have successful point spread covers over the likes of New England and Minnesota this year. They rank in the top 3 in yards per play, first in road passing, top 10 in points allowed at home. When it comes to the total, 4 out of Kansas City's last 4 games all stayed under the total. They're also 4-3 to the under when traveling. Chicago on the other side, 5-2 to the under at home. I'm going to lean Kansas City -5 and the under 45 in that game. Of course, I'm going to slide my next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Green Bay taking on the Vikings, 8:15 Eastern kickoff Monday Night Football. The Vikings are the 4.5-point favorite, total 45 and a hook. Saw a 0.5 point fade of Minnesota and movement downward on the total. The Vikes open -5 down to -4.5. Total open 46.5 down to 45 and a hook. 56% are leaning Green Bay, 71% shaded toward the over. Right now the Packers are plus $1.90 on the money line. Green Bay failed to cover in 3 out of their last 6. They rank the bottom 5 in road passing, bottom 5 in road rushing. They failed to cover against the likes of Washington, the Chargers, and Detroit this year. They rank in the bottom 3 in yards per play on the road, bottom 10 in pass yards allowed on the road as well. Minnesota on the other side, winners in 8 out of their last 10. They're also still undefeated at home this year, 6-0 straight up on their home turf. They rank in the top 10 in scoring. They have successful covers over the likes of Dallas and Philadelphia. And they rank in the top 5 in rushing, top 10 in points allowed, top 10 in yards allowed per play. Now, 3 out of Minnesota's last 6 at home did stay under the number. Meanwhile, Green Bay's 5-1 to the under in their last 6 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the home chalk in this one. Give me Minnesota -4.5 and the under 45 and a hook in that game. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our quick pick recap brought to you by patreon.com/Brock page, where once again we went 5-3 yesterday in our premium picks on that website. I like Minnesota -4.5 under 45 and a hook. Kansas City -5 under 45. Philadelphia +3 under 46.5. Arizona +10 over 50 and a hook. Chargers -5.5 under 45 and a hook. Denver -6.5 over 38. Pittsburgh -3 under 38.5. New Orleans -1.5 over 51. Washington -2.5 over 42. Jacksonville +7.5 under 45 and a hook. Miami -1 under 46.5. Indianapolis -6 over 46 and a hook. Baltimore -10 over 48. Rams +7 under 45 and a hook. Buffalo +7 under 38.5. And last but certainly not least, I like Houston -2.5 and the over 51 in that game. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on patreon.com/Brock page, where once again we went 5-3 in our premium picks yesterday on that website. We do daily premium selections on that website beginning at just $1.99 per month. There's also plenty of free content there as well, including my current record and my daily poll question. So you can certainly feel free to take advantage of that. And you may be thinking, well, why would I sign up for your Patreon page? You just gave me all the picks for free here on YouTube. Well, I'll tell you what we do. We handicap every single game on the board here on YouTube, side and total. And if you were to bet your hard-earned money that way on every single game, side and total, you're guaranteed to lose in the long run. As a matter of fact, you're probably going to end up losing in the short run as well. The math is very heavily against you, betting every single game. The math, like I said, is against you. The books are too sharp. They're way too smart. And, well, my current record on Patreon is a whole lot better than it is handicapping every single game on the board, side and total. What we do on Patreon is we narrow it down and focus in on 3 to 4 premium picks per day. They're high percentage picks, games that I personally have action on. And like I said, my current record on Patreon is a whole lot better than it is throwing darts, handicapping every single game on YouTube. And if you want, you can check out my current record for free right now. It's right on the homepage. That is patreon.com/Brock page. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into our Spanish edition real quick, also known as Edición en Español. Yo tengo Minnesota -4.5 y los bajos. Kansas City -5 y los bajos. Philadelphia con puntos y los bajos. Arizona con puntos y las altas. Los Ángeles -5.5 y los bajos. Denver menos 6.5 y las altas. Pittsburgh menos 3 y los bajos. New Orleans menos 1.5 y las altas. Washington menos 2.5 y las altas. Jacksonville con puntos y los bajos. Miami menos 1 y los bajos. Indianapolis menos 6 y las altas. Indianapolis menos 6 y las altas. Baltimore menos 10 y las altas. Los Ángeles Rams con puntos y los bajos. Buffalo con puntos y los bajos. Y final, Houston menos 2.5 y las altas. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. But most importantly, I got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you on patreon.com/BrockPage.